All right. At this point on this build, I have not made any videos for YouTube yet. I've just been recording video and not putting them up. I haven't been compiling them for some reason. I had all winter and didn't put any together. Partially because I didn't know when I was going to be able to do that. And I kind of want the videos to come out in a reasonable sequence. Otherwise, I don't want people to be waiting 6 months for the next episode. Not that anybody particularly waits on bated breath for my next video. But I'm in this kind of weird position though. Okay, it's not weird because it implies a lack of organization, which I'm profoundly good at, a lack of organization. I don't really know what I've recorded and what I haven't recorded making this boat. So what I'm doing now is basically the final bits of wood attachment before I paint and put my decks on. I've decided, because I'm paranoid, and I want this to be super strong, and I don't want it to come apart as anybody would if they put this much work into something. So I've decided to reinforce these joints with another layer of fiberglass, and I'm going to use, because I have this massive roll right there that I got on Marketplace. I have a bunch of this, and this is almost 1/8 of an inch thick. It's super strong. So I cut enough pieces to be able to do one on each of these pieces and make sure that they're strong enough. I definitely don't want this to come apart, and once I've done the job, once I painted it, it's going to be really hard to come back and fix that problem in the event that that they do crack. So we're going to reinforce those, a bunch of these layers, and I have some extra epoxy. I got more than I needed, so that's next. And then I need to fill in the bottom of this so that I have a dry section here over this centerpiece. And so we're going to do that as well. There's some dirt in there for some reason. I don't know where it came from. Here's my points after yesterday. See here, I only did just a one strip basically across the top. I'll carve this bottom off. While it's still soft, you can carve it a little bit. And it's just, since this is slow hardening, it's still got a little bit of softness to it. It feels hard, but I've still got a little bit of ability to carve it. So I did each side of those. I just want this to be as bomb-proof as possible. Don't have to worry about it. But I glued that on. Now I'm going to do some fill here. This is a piece of FRP. It's fiberglass reinforced paneling. It's bathroom wall. And I made the piece for the back, and I had this. I found this in my garage. And so I'm going to use this instead because it's nice and flat. And I glued it in, and I'll sand this down, and then I'll do another layer, and then put glass on it. So. But now the goal is to take my fiberglass under my fingernail. That hurt. Okay. Alright, so now that I've got that, you can see, hopefully this will be clear enough. There's these little shreds of glass. You can see them right here hanging off, and I can actually just take and carve those off with a blade. One of the things you guys probably don't see a lot, well, I know you don't because I made the video, is the amount of time that I spend just either looking at this boat in a pensive and very thoughtful manner, and the amount of time that I spend standing in it or holding bits up against it to see how they fit. Because a lot, I know that a lot of people in the world plan projects from the start to the finish and then they start, right? I don't really work that way. I get like an idea of what I kind of want at the end, and then see what I can do to get there and kind of build it along the way. And I tried a little harder to plan ahead on this because when I get certain parts of the boat in, it makes it really difficult to get other parts of the boat in after that if I forgot, right? So I'm trying to get all of this set up before I put the decks on, because once I get the decks on that, I just noticed a piece of high fiberglass there. Once I get the decks on this, it'll be hard to work in these areas underneath the hull or underneath the deck spaces. So I'm trying to get all of the stuff that's going to go under there planned out ahead of time and then set up. Way down there. So I recently, side note, I recently got some, they were out of coffee beans. I think the tariff thing that's going on right now has scared people. So they bought all of the good coffee beans. And I really like dark coffee. And so, I don't know why I said that in a weird voice. And so I didn't have any dark coffee. So the beans that I had were really pathetic. And I decided, actually I think it was my wife's idea, I put them in my air fryer and roasted them darker, and I think they're better. So I put them in a glass pie pan and put a little layer of them in there, put it on for 5 minutes at 400, and then stirred it around in 5 minutes at 400, and stirred it around in 5 minutes at 400. And it turned out to be, I think it's better. My son thinks I'm crazy, but most people do. So there you go. Now what I'm doing is I've got these special carbide bits that I bought to drill the holes in this glass, and I have this like love-hate relationship with hole saws. I may have mentioned before that they never seem to work well unless you buy good ones, and then they work pretty darn good. Those work really well, even though they're made in China. But what isn't these days? There we go. Close. Not perfect, but close. And this should explain some of the mindset behind what I'm up to. There'll be I'll show you what I've done so far, and then I'll show you some of the materials or some of the cool bits that I've got to put in the boat. But right now I've got basically all of the interior fiberglass done below the decks. The decks are not yet attached, but all the interior fiberglass is basically done and put all together, and it looks really nice, at least in my opinion. So you can see back here, hopefully, I'll show you up front, but I've got a thick layer of fiberglass on this because this is going to take a lot of abuse. So I've got a big thick layer of this fiberglass, which I picked up on Facebook Marketplace, a huge roll of this stuff. I don't know what I'm ever going to do with all of it, but I've got a big roll of that stuff. So I've been using that. But basically, I've got the floor cover in, and I've got the back panel, the back bulkhead on, and this, originally I wasn't going to put these in the back here, but this is actually going to make a really nice pocket for like the fly box or something like that. So I got all this fiberglass in, and it came out really nice. I mean, I haven't even had to sand this. It's, you know, I'm sanding a couple spots, but I basically have hardly needed to sand it at all. That's really sweet there. I've got, obviously, here's the decks. They're getting ready to go in, and on the sides here, I'm hoping this comes out clear. I've got both of my front and rears, and I should have put a hole in this. I may come back and drill another hole in this so that it'll drain through, because as you can see here, I've just left that open on the bottom. It just didn't need to be solid. But I've used some more of that heavy fiberglass and fiberglass these on because I want these to be super tough. And I've done both sides. This side you can see these are the rod holders. The rods will go across here, and I've got a bit of a pocket underneath them. I can stuff things in, will be nice. And these have the heavy duty glass on the outsides as well. And then we come to the front, and the front's basically a mirror image of the rear, except for this. I found a big chunk of FRP, fiberglass reinforced paneling, like your bathroom walls material for showers, and I decided to use that instead up here. Hopefully that'll work out for me. It's pretty tough, and it's flatter than the piece I made. And so that's where I'm at on those parts. And here I'll show you how the deck goes in real quick. All right, so the deck here. So the deck goes in there like that, very nicely, and then this hatch. I'm going to use a bit of this piano hinge, this stainless steel piano hinge. It's the thinnest stuff I could find because I don't want a lot of hinge sticking up, and it's actually going to sit about like that. That way, that's all the hinge that's sticking up, and I'll smooth the edges before I attach it on. And that way, and then the deck will hinge up like this, and hopefully make a really solid deck. Especially with this underneath it, it's super tough. Now, you can see these grooves in here. I'm hoping these grooves are big enough to shed some water. If water gets in there, I may end up just having to put some seal foam on there and hope that it doesn't get water in it, because that was about as big of a groove as I felt I could make without overly weakening this. So I'm gonna have to seal all this up with epoxy. I'm not gonna be able to glass it because then I'll have no room left, but that'll all get sealed with epoxy before I'm done there. And fits really tight because it's all tapered. But you can see here I've got holes drilled for my rod holders. These tubes will be my rod holders that run around the front. And on this side, I've got another tube that's going to carry all of my electrical, except probably my transducer wire, because the plug on the transducer wire is too big, unless I cut it and splice it, and I'd rather not do that. So that's where I'm at on the hull itself. Now we're going to cut over and I'll show you all the bits that I've got and kind of how I'm planning on putting them in. All right, here's all the stuff that I've picked up to put in the boat so far. I still need to get some more things, but this is what I've got so far that goes in the boat. And I'm going to explain how I'm kind of thinking about it all going together. It may change, but right now this is the plan. So you may have been wondering why I put these boards on top of the seat. Well, you know, why did I do this instead of just putting the deck right on top of the seat? Because that would have been really simple, right? Just leave the seat there, put the deck down on top of it. It would have been really strong and easy. But the reason I did that is that these batteries that I have, this battery came from the van project. If you look in the first video, off the side here, over here, there was a white and blue van. And we decided to cancel that project. We just didn't have the time, and it was my son's project, and he gave up on it. It just ran out of time with college and that sort of thing. So, but he bought these batteries for it, and we gave one away with the van, but I kept one of them for this boat. And the reason that these seats ended up this high is because these batteries, which just barely fit, actually go like this, like that, there. These batteries would not have fit under the covers if the covers hadn't been raised up. So that's why I've got those covers that high. It just gives me more space under the decks. And this battery will end up in the front is the plan to run the trolling motor, because that's the most common demand on it, and I can run the shortest leads to there, and the gas tank will go in the back here. For the controls of the boat, for the electronics, I've got this plastic rocker box, which is really stout one. I bought a pretty good quality one, and I've got a switch panel which has got 6 switches on it. It's got a USB, a 12 volt, and a battery meter, and that will give me plenty of switches to do what I'm currently planning. I should have one spare, but we'll see. I've got red and green running lights for the front of the boat. I've got a bilge pump, the 750 gallon automatic bilge pump, and it's automatic or switchable, so I can turn it on or it can be automatic, and that'll go in the rear. I've got a connector kit for it. For the rear light, I've got this little socket that's going to go right here. I've got a bunch of cleats, and I've also got a fuse box which will go in the electrical panel. And I'm really excited about this Simrad that I picked up, Go 7. It's way sweeter than I was planning on putting on this boat, but it was a really good price, and so I'm really excited about that. And it's got a lot of, I'm geeking out about it. There's a lot of weird things on it. But it came with its own problem in that this transducer is so big that I may not be able to mount it on the back of the boat because my transom on the boat is thin and the motor might hit it. And also, the plug on the end of it will not go down the middle of my wiring tube that I've got on the right-hand side of the boat here. So that's a problem. But all of that stuff is going to get mounted on this grab bar. Not all of it, but most of it. It's mounted on the grab bar, and then the grab bar is going to be able to swing down and lay flat when the boat's not in use. So that's the current plan of what I got going on. And as usual, if you're liking my stuff, please hit the like and subscribe. It costs you nothing, helps me out a lot. See you next time on The Dirty Shop.